All right, we are live. This might be the most exciting lives that I've ever done. And for those that know, I've been doing lives for many, many, many years. Before we get just a little quick house cleaning, for those that are watching on Twitter or YouTube, there is a link on my Twitter. And hold on, I think we have a connection with LinkedIn. 1 second. Edit. Uh-oh. Once. I'm going to how do there's sorry. I think we were having technical issues on LinkedIn, which is really frustrating because it says we were good a minute ago. For those that are watching, let's see if we're working on Twitter. If not, we'll continue on Twitter, and then I'll just post on LinkedIn that we're going to be live there. Okay, so first off, I'm totally excited to have you here, Elon. This is terrific. This is a live that's been wanting to happen forever. And it says pre-live. There we go. Now it should be working. I got a notification on LinkedIn. I just want to double check. We're doing some technical. Lovely. Beautiful. All right. Terrific. Okay. Awesome. Everyone, thank you for your patience for the technical stuff. We'll edit that out when we repost on YouTube. Okay, so I'm super excited to have you on here. I've been doing lives, especially LinkedIn lives, for several years. I had the alpha product, and so I was able to get it really early. It's awesome that we're getting this working now. But this is probably one of the most exciting lives that I've ever done within my marketing career. And that's because we actually get to have you and talk about Twitter and what the hell's going on the platform, how cool it is, the new product, how the targeting has changed and everything. People had to refresh. Okay, great. Lovely. Hey, guys. All right, the comments are coming in. Anyone have any? Okay, so clean thing. The tech is fixed. Thank God. I was about to go furious. If you have any questions, go over to LinkedIn and ask your questions there. StreamYard integration with Twitter Live isn't there yet. Maybe we'll talk about lives in Twitter circles. Maybe we'll get to that because that is kind of relevant as someone that loves to do live conversations. If you go to my Twitter, you'll see it. I think I replied to the comment. You'll see a link to the LinkedIn event. You can go over, ask your questions. We'll pull them up on screen and we'll address them in real time. Okay, so obviously, before I go ahead and I let you introduce yourself, let me set the stage. For those that don't know, my name is Yoel Israel. I'm the founder and CEO of Wadi Digital. We're the leading B2B tech marketing agency in Israel and probably in the world. We have a very strong focus on AI and cybersecurity companies. We also serve, of course, big data, med tech, marketing tech, and all other kinds of B2B technology companies. Within that, within our advertising and SEO, a lot of the things that we do is we do a lot of ads on Google and LinkedIn. That being said, there's a lot of great new opportunities with Twitter under this new management of Elon Musk. But we have an even better Elon today, if you ask me, spelled differently and pronounced slightly differently, is to talk about what the hell's going on with Elon. We're talking about what's going on with Twitter. So Elon, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself and talk about exactly a little bit about the landscape. And I got a handful of things I want to make sure that we cover.
All right. So Yoel, first of all, thank you for the opportunity. And it's a pleasure to be with you here in this live event. Hi, my name is Elon Yusim. I'm at Twitter for almost 2 years now. I'm leading the tech B2B and agencies vertical right here at Twitter. I'm located in Dublin, which is now sunny and beautiful. And yeah, we've been working mostly with tech company, helping them create strategies and making sure that they are performing on Twitter according to the KPIs from strategy to execution. We have our team of performance specialists that can take any brief from tech marketer and make it a really live and exciting strategy on Twitter. So this is what we do.
Awesome. Okay, so first I think we should, guys, I see your question. Everything's working. Hello, everyone. A lot of my best friends are here, and some of my favorite people are on Twitter are here, which is awesome. So ask your questions, put them in. We'll address them. I'm going to try not to cherry pick, but I'll try to work them into the order of the conversation. So I think we should talk about the following things. We talk about the product, a little bit about the algorithm, social engagement, advertising, and product roadmap. I think those are probably the main things. Anything else within that, how to build the following, all that will come within probably the algorithm using the product and work all this and a lot of other things in. And of course, we're going to address all your questions. So first off, the product. All right. So obviously, not going to avoid the elephant in the room. Elon Musk acquired Twitter several months ago. And that's why we're having this conversation that there have been changes to the platforms. Other than the verifications which rolled out, which we should probably discuss why one should get verified. What are the main changes you think from just a platform use that are probably the biggest things that us as B2B marketers should keep in mind?
So I think that one of the main changes in the platform was around performance and ad relevancy. So in terms of performance, our key work was one, implementing the new Twitter Pixel and Conversion API. This means that we are now able to measure down the funnel events, report them back to Twitter, and then create a campaign that basically optimizes to allow you to reach the same audiences that actually perform the right conversion point for your company or for your brand. Whether you want them to just visit your website and read like your top article, leave a lead, or install something. So that was in terms of performance. And then in terms of ad relevancy, we have now more targeting options than ever. The targeting is more accurate. We can target based on interest, based on keywords, based on lookalikes, based on audiences, but also based on the actual keywords that are appearing on your feed. So basically, we have now keywords campaign that you target particular keywords, and then you're making sure that your ad appearing next to these valuable keywords. And then on top of that, we had something that is always on top of our mind, which is brand safety. We now allow more brands to have more control on where their ads appear and where they want their ads to show and where they don't. So they can exclude particular keywords, they can exclude particular phrases or terms, and they can exclude particular handles that they don't want their ads to appear in their next to their tweets or inside their replies. So this is now provides a much deeper sense of control for brands that, obviously they want to make sure that they are active in a brand safety environment. So
awesome. So we're going to talk about that and the advertising and how where our ads can show and not, and who we can target and how. And I definitely want to talk about advertising for events. And there's a lot of cool things, and we'll get to that. So one of the very first things, let's say, rolled out under new management was the view count. And then another thing that I've noticed, which still has a lot of work to do, is less bots. So obviously, it's no secret that there's been a bot issue on Twitter forever. Obviously, that was basically news for several months last year, and there's been a lot of progress. There's still a lot of work to be done. I know that because I feel and say it. I'll give I made a joke to someone, I made an OnlyFans joke on Twitter, and then I got a bunch of OnlyFans bots suddenly liking my tweets. So that's how I knew the bots are still there. Other than that, I barely see them, just certain keywords that bots pick up and are engaging on it. So that's what I'm seeing. The view count is great. It lets you know what's legit and like how many people are actually seeing what. So instead of there being, let's say, like bullshit pods, you know what I mean, where everyone's like, hey, like my tweet, you don't have that anymore. So that's really, so you actually see who's seeing it, it's legit. Because people say on LinkedIn, like, how does this person get so many likes so quiet? Like they're in a pod. How do you know? I go to there's someone close to me. I look at who likes it. They're all second, third connections. Obviously it's a pod. Whether they're bots, real people or what, I have no idea. But now you can know what's getting real engagement. Another thing is if you're going to do influencer marketing, which we'll get to, being able to know how many people, not just the engagement, but who's actually viewing it and all of that, the view counts. This is all very important when it comes to your B2B marketing strategies. So there's a lot of changes going on. So let's get, you want to say something?
Yeah, I think that, showing the level of engagement and each different engagement on Twitter sends a different signal. I mean, views just eyeballs landing on your content, whereas likes are people agreeing with your content, and then you have people retweeting your content, which means that they're taking your content as is, which they see as a valuable content for their own network, and then they can add their own quote, which means that they're sharing this content with their network, with their take on what you said, whether it's positive or negative. But then you have a much deeper engagement which is the bookmark, which means that I'm saving your content for the future me, which means that I find it valuable right now, and I probably want to get back to that content at some point in the future, whether it's your your post or your video or anything that you put on Twitter. And this is especially valuable for tech and B2B marketers, because you put on guides, you put on white papers, you put your C-level conversation and their take. So people are saving these contents. And once you promote these pieces of content, you will start to pick more and more signals for engagement, and this will allow you to basically shape your content strategy on Twitter, which is, I think, one of the most valuable things for any marketer, let alone tech and B2B marketers on Twitter.
All right, so let's talk about engagement. And Danny from Sayag had a good comment. We'll get to that. You can block handles on your ads. Very cool, she wrote. We'll talk about blocking engagement and exclusions and all of that, negative keywords. We'll get to the ads in a little bit and some really cool things there. So engagement. So first off, let's talk about the algorithm, which is related to, I think that kind of leads into engagement. It's more appropriate to talk about that first. Twitter's algorithm is open source. So Twitter's all about now trying to be as transparent as possible, which is awesome. No other social media platform has open sourced their algorithm. I'm hoping other people will follow suit. It gives you a sense of trust and fairness and transparency that we're all looking for. In business, I like transparency. I like strong and transparent communication, and honesty and character is very, very is a very important value to me. So I'm happy we're able to see that. But what was also shown is that there are certain things that get more reach. And so, which was fascinating. So for people to know, first off is if you add a photo or a video, as opposed to just text, you're expected to get up to 2x the reach potentially. And then they have other things which are interesting to penalize people. If it's just hashtags, even with the photo or not, it will really hurt its reach without text, because they're assuming they're bots and things like that, trying to force the reach. I thought that was fascinating. That was really cool. Right. Likes, I saw, gave it 30x, and retweets only gave 20x reach. What was the reach? Do you happen to know the reasons behind that? I know you're not an engineer with the algorithm. I have an idea, but I wonder if there's, do you guys discuss that internally? Like, hey, this is our algorithm and this is what, now it's open source. So everyone in the company knows, even those that might not be engineers, and your guys are kind of talking about it. Is that discussed internally, or are you just talking marketing?
I think that once the algorithm is public and transparent, as you said, I think this is just another way for us to create more sense of fairness and transparency to the people active on the platform. So whether it's likes, which we said it's mostly positive, whereas retweets can be something which is not always positive. So again, these are things that could have different meaning for the people viewing that content. But on top of everything, I think that anyone can now take the code, understand it, and then kind of fine tune their content to be more engaging for their audience. And you create your content on Twitter, you probably see how people are engaging. And like the example that you gave with hashtags, well, obviously hashtags used to be a huge part of Twitter, but right now hashtags are used to provide context into tweets. If you just dump 20 hashtags into your tweet, it just won't mean anything to anyone. This is not how Twitter works. This is not how any social media works. You use hashtags to provide context into your content. Otherwise, this is just a bunch of text which that doesn't correlate into something which is unique message. So I would say, if you're creating content, use hashtags like you probably use them when you're talking, because
Right.
if you're talking, when people talk, they hardly use just drop a hashtag into the conversation. So yeah, this is not how you should work on Twitter. Twitter is a platform for conversation. Use it the same way you would probably talk with your peers, your colleagues, your friends, or anyone that is like-minded in your industry.
I don't know if you remember that. I think there was an SNL skit about hashtag Justin Timberlake. It was Ashton Kutcher. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
This is SNL's like 15 years old or something. I was like, hashtag, whatever. I'm not going to go into it. I'm going to butcher it, and most people probably didn't see it. Okay, and then another thing that gives you 2 to 4 times the reach is verified, right? The blue check. You can't avoid this because everyone's talking about it. So look, the blue check is when you get 2 to 4 times the reach if you verified. It's only $8 a month. So I just want to be very clear. If you're a marketer and you're not spending $8 a month, then you're not a marketer. Just to get 2 to 4x the reach. If you're using Twitter at all for business, or even really if you're trying to engage and build a following even for fun, but put that aside, if it's not at all related to monetization or a business or building a brand, if you're not paying the $8 a month to get 2 to 4x the reach, that's just serious. You're making a mistake. What you're able to do is you're going to show up more in the feeds. If you go to your notifications, you have a notification. You have something called at verified. So you can first just filter by verified. We know are humans. They're not bots. If you're engaging in other people's tweets and you reply, right? You reply to a tweet. Your tweet will come up before those that aren't verified. So you're going to get more views, more exposures. And also that person tweeting is more likely to see your reply, especially if they're a bigger name. They don't see all the replies naturally. So these are some of the benefits of that. And then, of course, a big one we'll get to is that you need to be verified to advertise, which we're going to get to maybe in a bit. Other than that, are there other benefits to verification that I didn't cover?
So let's talk about, first of all, identity and verification on Twitter. Obviously, up until a couple of months ago, there were 2 different types of entities, verified and unverified. And the verification process was really not transparent. So what we did is basically we allowed more people to understand who is talking with them, and then make sure that they have control over their identity, impersonation, and then features. So right now on Twitter, you can see gray check marks, which is reserved for government and people that are related to government organizations. You have the golden check marks, which is for advertisers, and this is a part of our program for organization to basically under verified organizations to verify their own people. So let's say you're a big company and you have your C-level on Twitter, you have your community leaders on Twitter, and you have your other accounts. So right now you don't need to come up with your social connection to be verified on Twitter. You just get verified organization, you verified your C-level, you verify your other local accounts, and basically everything is connected to one central account. This is verified organization. These are the golden check marks for advertisers.
Okay, can I step in here and maybe just explain? I mean, because you're talking Twitter all day. I'm a lot, so maybe I hear a lot of questions people ask me, kind of like Danny. So I think I'll be able maybe I can explain a little bit. First off, Danny, right? Danny asked, I'm still wondering, by the way, it's a long time to wonder, just the opportunity cost. You should have just paid $8. But if you're still wondering, it's worth the pay for Twitter Blue. Okay, here's the uptick you've seen. Look, I wanted to say, put it this way. For 1/3 of one of your LinkedIn ad clicks, you get a full month of 2 to 4 times your engagement on Twitter. Okay, that's it. It's worth it. Just scale back 1/3 of one click. I know you're spending a lot on LinkedIn ads. I'm not talking about Twitter ads. Just get the verification just for your organic reach. People will find you. You'll come up sooner in search and everything. It's $8. It's not. It's tax. It's nothing, right? And Pantera is a huge organization. I'm paying it for me. I'm paying it for Wadi. It's not. And so if we can do it, then you guys can do it. So it's definitely worth. Regarding the uptick, I have seen an immediate increase in views of 2x. They said 2 to 4. I think that's maybe more for the replies. I don't know what that meant, but it was about 2.5x. I immediately started seeing in my views and also in my engagement, almost doubled. And so it's 100%. You see it, you can't miss it. And ask anyone else that tweets, a few times a day that wasn't verified, then got verified, and ask them themselves, and you'll see. But if you're wondering, it's worth paying for, Obviously, $8 is easy. So to verify any account with the blue, yeah, go ahead. You want to say something?
Yeah, and aside from the exposure, I think that the features. Listen, I've been using Twitter personally for more than 12 years. Being able to edit your tweets, being able to compose longer tweets, upload different types of media onto Twitter. One of my favorite features is the ability to bookmark and then use the folders. It's just providing more flexibility for people that are using Twitter, and more premium features will be available as part of Twitter Blue probably in the upcoming weeks.
That's awesome. You want to tell us what they are, or do we have to invite you back?
You know what? Yeah, let's keep it this way. We'll probably circle back
okay, great. And maybe one day we'll do an event in person. We can actually show you this is how we bookmark and this is how we do things, and we'll actually just sit together in a room and do it. Wanting to do that.
I can show my feed. I have no shame in it.
Oh yeah, well, if you want shame, look at mine. Okay, yeah, posing people. Okay, so back to the checks. So as an individual, it's $8 a month, whatever you can get the blue check. You can also do for an organization, $8 a month, get the blue check, like Wadi Digital has, as an example. But then there's the gold check, and so that's $1,000 a month. And we'll talk about maybe we can get that waived, which we'll discuss in a moment. And so what's cool about the $1,000 of the gold check isn't that it's gold. But that the fact that you can then associate, guys, this is where B2B marketers listen very carefully what I'm about to say, because you'll see where these things are going and what I've been seeing in the platform when they started introducing this months ago. As let's say we gold check Wadi Digital, I can now assign check marks, blue checks to Wadi Digital employees and saying how they're associated with the company. So imagine, let's just say you're Cisco. And then obviously they're going to get the gold check, and then they're going to sign the blue check to their senior management, their executive suites, and their VPs and several layers down. What that means, and it's not quite there yet from an advertising perspective, is that I would know who works at what company and what their function and job title is. And unlike LinkedIn, I'm not saying one's better than the other. They're pros and cons to both, actually, and maybe I'll address that. On LinkedIn, I go in as an individual and I update, I work at Wadi Digital, right? And I work at Cyfluencer, and I'm the host of LinkedIn Local Tel Aviv, etc. On Twitter, it's the opposite. The company takes its handle and associates you with the company. So one, it's more accurate, right? In the sense that it's true. There's a lot of former Wadi employees that still have Wadi on their LinkedIn profile, as an example, and I don't blame them, and they should, because it'll help them find more employment as opposed to looking unemployed. So I get it. And this is very common, right? So there's different, but this way, so they're actually still working there. It's still active and they're still very much involved. On LinkedIn, you don't know that for sure. So that's one great component. That's another great component. And then of course you need it to advertise, but it's $1,000 a month, which is where now Danny's question is a little bit more legitimate, or very legitimate. Still wondering if it's worth paying for Twitter Blue or Twitter Gold, if we want to call it that in this case. You were talking about if we were to work through advertisers through Wadi, would we be able to get that waived? Is that okay for me to mention?
Basically, if you're an active advertiser on Twitter, which came through one of our teams or through one of the agencies that work with us, yeah, we can get you verified. You probably won't get all the features of the verified organization product, but you'll be verified nonetheless.
Awesome. So if you want to be able to get some of those and get a gold check and save $1,000 a month and get some of those features, message me. I'll connect you with Elon and we'll start setting up ads for you. And we'll discuss that. And we'll talk about ads in a little bit. Lovely. And another cool thing is you can actually add you can add any logo or icon you want. So if you want to put your company logo or icon after your name or your employees so they know they're associated with it, then that's another thing that you can do also. Okay. Rachel asks, Rachel's wonderful on Twitter, by the way. You should follow her if you want to be updated on what's going on Twitter. We're actually on a panel yesterday about social media. All right. She noticed today, This is fresh, Elon. Let's see if you got your daily briefing.
Yeah.
I noticed today on Twitter that the desktop menu, desktop no less, has slightly changed with, quote, connect and drafts. I'm super curious to know how they filter whom to suggest to you to connect with. What is it based on? Okay, more algorithm questions. By the way, any algorithm question, any questions drop, but anything related to algorithm, connections, engagement, followers, hashtags from the organic aspect of the platform, building an audience, which I'll talk about. Now would be a good time to drop those questions because there's also like a little delay from the time we see it in StreamYard. So what are the connect and the jazz? Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so shout out to Rachel. Follow her on Twitter. Lovely content. So yeah, basically Twitter suggests people to connect with based on people you interacted with with their content on Twitter, which you're not necessarily following, just because they popped up on your feed, or people that your network basically is following them, and people that are notable on your network. So these are the suggestion for connect. Nothing mysterious over there. And then with the draft and the schedule, just because it's, people write a lot, but they don't necessarily have a really coherent idea about what they want to. So instead of typing something and then saving it to drafts and then looking at your draft, you just now have a drafts tab which you can return to, perfect these ideas, and make sure that the content you are sending to Twitter is the best according to your best practice. And then you have the schedule. Basically, you can schedule your content on Twitter, whether you're using the Twitter UI or using TweetDeck. So again, you can see your scheduled tweets through the system. Pretty neat feature, I think, for people that are creating content on Twitter, just to give you more control over your network and the content you create. That's it.
Awesome. So I would also add to who they're like suggesting who to follow, or who to connect with. Is that I see sometimes if I go to like someone a reply a thread or just look at replies, and then it will say a lot of people you follow this person. And that happens to be a similar thing. Obviously, that's a part of the algorithm that I'm seeing suggested for the followers there. I didn't look there on the desktop yet today, Rachel. I saw you tweeted about it this morning. I didn't get a chance to play around with it. But my suggestion that there's clearly a strong correlation, at least there. So that it's like, people that you're following with. David asks, what up, David? Does it work the other round too? As an employee, I can post as the company. No, you can't post from anyone else's handle. I must have misspoken, or maybe I was misunderstood. You can post. You can associate, and you can assign that someone's with your company from the company side. You can't assign that you work with the company from your individual handle. You can't link the two, let's say, so to speak. And no one can post on any other handle's behalf, but you can retweet.
Basically, the employee will be affiliated with the company. So the company will have an affiliated tab, so you can look on all the accounts that are affiliated with the company. And on the employee side, you will see the company logo next to their verification icon. So that's the connection. And once you click on that, you will see that that person is verified because they are affiliated with the company.
Awesome. So let's talk a little bit about building an audience for a minute. So I'll share some tips that I've learned in speaking to other people too that have been recently reactive on Twitter. Is that if you want to, the best and fastest way I find is obviously get verified, because you'll get 2 to 4 times the reach and you'll be seen first in replies. The next is, if you can, make a list of people that you would like to be able to follow, that you would like to engage with or to see you. So your feed isn't bombarded with the 1,000 followers you may have, hypothetically, even though probably only like 100 of them are posting, tweeting. And then you go to, then go to the following. It would take everyone you're following in order, or you can go to that list and it'll go everyone you're following in chronological order of the tweets, and then go to the newest tweets and reply to those tweets. So not just the person's more likely to see it because you get the first comment or one of the first, as opposed to being lost in dozens. also all of the other people that are going to see that tweet later are then going to see your reply. If you reply 18 hours later, 85% of the juice of that tweet is already behind you, and they're not going to see your reply no matter how good it is, right? Even no matter how brilliant it is. So therefore, be first to reply, be verified. And I would say that's kind of like the two main things. And of course, organize who you want to speak to, and dedicate 5-10 minutes, and don't overthink. But I think that's a good rule for life in general. Any recommendations or suggestions that you would give if you want to build a following for your company or for you as an individual?
So lists are an amazing solution to create your
So hard to build though. They're so time consuming.
It's just easy. You just go to the three dots and you just go
And
to
add them,
to your list. And basically, you don't need to follow all the people that are interesting for your brand or for your community. And just add them to your list, and you can highlight that list, and it just creates a separate feed. And then you can basically manage who are you engaging with, and then you can pick the right conversation for you to enter. And I think this is a part of a larger strategy on what types of conversation you want to engage. Think about Twitter as you entering a room with lots of conversations happening at the same time. And now you need to, you basically have a choice. You can set aside and listen, which I think a lot of people are not necessarily doing right. You have to listen. And then after you listen, you find the right conversation to you. And then you can decide, I want to join that conversation with my own unique take. And you go and you reply and you engage with the people in that conversation. Or if you're interesting enough or you have something to say, you start your own conversation. And that's another way to lead the conversation to the places where you want to be in terms of your brand or your company or your product. So, and as you mentioned, lists are a part of that listening strategy. You can curate your own list and listen to the right conversation that might not necessarily always pop up on your main feed. I have my own marketing lists with marketers that I like to read, and they don't necessarily always
Is this a private list?
Yes.
So what do you think? I have an idea. Maybe I should do this. I think it would be fun. If we were to ever do an event, I think we'll make a list of people like tech marketers in Israel. I think I'll make a list. I'll make it public, and then other people can use the list. So if Elon's claiming it's so easy to make a list, but like, hey, I want to follow the top 200. How do I pursue them and find them and then make that list and whatever? And then a lot of them, they're just like, okay, they're a tech marketer, but they're only tweeting about politics, which is totally cool. But you're like, that's just not what I want for this list, right? As an example. So maybe we should, I think what I'll do is I think I will, and by I mean Anna from my team, we'll make a marketing list of the top Twitters, let's say, in tech marketing. And then therefore that way we'll be able to, so we can all follow along there and be able to do it and be able to do it. The problem is, by the way, out of curiosity, maybe you can explain it. Why did you decide to make your list private? Can you maybe make it public for us so I can use it and I can pin it?
I think I have a couple of lists that are public. I have lists of different competitors that I don't want to necessarily make public, but I don't want to be see like I'm actively following them. But I will make a list of competitors of my clients or of the industry that I'm working to research right now. And every once in a while, I will go to that list and I will start actively listening to the conversationing.
Rachel says Twitter lists are key for engaging on Twitter. Maybe we can make a list together and share it with people. If you have any other questions, especially on ads, drop them here. Anything else organically or algorithm? If not, then I think we should totally pivot to B2B advertising.
No, I think that all the organic activity is the starting point for brands, listening to the ongoing conversation and the right conversation to you, and find out who are the leaders of the conversation, and then later on targeting them and their audience as part of your ads campaign. It is a crucial part of your strategy and your planning for Twitter.
All right, let's pivot to ads. By the way, we got 13 retweets on this live so far on Twitter itself. So, and over 20 likes and 20. Okay, advertising. All right. Not too long ago, if someone said they wanted to advertise on Twitter, I'd say probably the same thing about Facebook, but I would say even worse things about Twitter, is that it sucks for B2B. For remarketing, it might be a good touch point, right? An important touch point where some people like to log into Twitter more than Facebook, and Facebook, let's say, more than LinkedIn. LinkedIn by far has the best B2B targeting, and it's the most scalable as of now. But that being said, with the opportunities that are now in Twitter, there is no reason, if you're a B2B advertiser, that if you're doing LinkedIn and Google, that putting at least starting a small budget of a few $100s, $1,000 a month on Twitter is a no-brainer, because there's all these new features that are happening now. Some are being tested on beta, some through third parties that we're working with, and let's unpack it. Okay, so it used to be that our clients, we would run ads on Twitter, and it was like, well, we don't know how good this data is because a lot of it were bots. Now, of course, there's still bots, but there are much fewer of them. And with the verified accounts, you know who's really human. You know, it's a higher percentage of accounts are able to validate are not bots. So at least those impressions you're paying for are real. So I think that's a good starting place to talk about. Those are the good things that the immediate changes that you can see is you're literally just saving money on, let's say, 30% of what you were spending before were on bots, and now they are not. You've saved that targeting and those impressions from bots. But let's actually get into what matters. Let's talk about targeting. The first thing I want to talk about, which I think is very important, and you touched on it, is keyword targeting and negative keyword targeting. Obviously, whenever we say one thing, you can always do the opposite. And so first, I want to address the negative keyword targeting, because suddenly a lot of people really cared about, a lot of haters were like, oh, our ad, someone took a screenshot of our ad next to a hate tweet. Basically, think of how screwed up this person is. These people were searching for hate tweets on Twitter. That was their filtered feed, right? Hate speech. And then they're looking for the ads that show up in between, screenshot the top and the bottom, and send it to people to try to get them to stop advertising on Twitter, which is why everyone hates Twitter. But hopefully that's not one of the reasons. That's the downside, is the crazy people on there. But it's gotten much better now. Now what you can do is that problem has been solved. You can upload a list, and there are many, by the way. You can use ChatGPT as an example, just to ask for, please give me a list of negative keywords for Twitter ads that are related or adjacent to hate speech. It will, you know what I mean? It will give you an exhaustive list, copy, paste, upload it. Your ad will never show on the same screen next to any word, anything. So any bad word that you can think of, which is appropriate, inappropriate, or maybe irrelevant, or let's say the name of your brand might be associated with a word that's kind of adjacent, but not, could be confusing, just then you want to, then you can add these as negative keywords, very similarly like you would do for Google, but those would be search terms, but here you won't be showing up on the same screen. So that's terrific. So if you're worried about your brand image, which you should be, then it's important to understand that that has been addressed. Is it fair to say that if you were to do the negative keyword exclusions properly, that you don't have to worry about how your brand looks?
Well, the adjacency controls and the brand safety controls are now an integral part of our basically targeting on Twitter ads. And of course, brands should care about brand safety and about their brand image. And using these lists basically gives you more control of where your ads are being presented. And as you mentioned, you can upload a list of up to, I think, 3,000 keywords.
Wow, that's a lot of hate words. That's a lot of hate.
I mean, obviously, you want to have this type of control of where your ads are presented. If you have a specific industry that you want to avoid, or a specific conversation that you don't want to be associated with, by all means, use these controls. It's simple. Once you do that, it's on the ad group level, and you can just copy paste it to any of your ad groups. It would just give you more control, and it's just so easy to do. And as I mentioned before, you can use it for keywords, and you can use it for handles. You can, make sure that your ads are not delivered or presented next to any handle that you don't want to be associated with.
Also handles too.
Yep.
Okay, so now let's talk about the fun part. Okay, now that you know that you can disassociate with anyone, and actually, Danny wrote, what did she write up top? She was earlier on. Here you go. Is that you can also not just block keywords, handles from your ads. So this means if I don't want my competitor to see my ad, I can do that. Correct?
Yeah.
Okay, beautiful. Yeah. And also, so that it's an important exclusion. So now let's talk about competitor targeting and keyword targeting. Okay, this is cool. So just like you can target by keyword, you can exclude by keyword. So imagine for a second, Wadi Digital happens to do Twitter ads, B2B ads, startup marketing, B2B SEO, etc. I can take these keywords and I can put them in, and anywhere these keywords show up, my ad can show up adjacent and next to it. Correct?
Yes. Yeah. So
now, yeah, go ahead. Go. I was going to take it a step further, but yeah, please.
I mean, you have, as I mentioned before, you have two ways to target people on Twitter. You can target them by interest, which is keywords and handle lookalikes and their interest and events that they go to. So people that either wrote your keyword or engaged with that particular keywords are now a part of your audience. People that are following a particular handles. If you target that handle, they'll be a part of your audience. This is a part of the interest targeting part of Twitter. Right now, we have a new campaign, which is keywords, which is basically making sure that your ads are appearing next to the most valuable keywords to you. If you target people in the sports industry, you will target keywords about sports. If you target entrepreneurs, you will target articles about entrepreneurs, and then your ad will appear next to searches, on the feed, on replies, wherever or whenever these keywords are actually mentioned and delivered into your feed.
So terrific. I want to, go ahead. I didn't interrupt you.
And combining these two types of campaigns with what we now, you can use it just with your video and then drive traffic into your website. If you have an app, you can use an app installed campaign. But there are more options for you as a marketer to now drive performance on Twitter. And this is an integral part of our targeting suite.
Magid Abdul, you asked this thing works in the Middle East countries. If you can elaborate, I don't know what you're referring to. I'm happy to answer your questions.
I think that the meaning is for non-English speaking countries. I think that right now the adjacency control should work globally with any language.
Right, it's just from the algorithm. But I think what she's asking about Middle East countries might be different is only because Hebrew and Arabic are right to left, and some things are uniquely not supported. So I think that's why she's asking. Okay, so let's talk about a little more targeting on keywords. I want to talk about, like you said, keywords, certain keywords, great, sports. I mean, we should be talking about our clients. So, cybersecurity. Someone's writing about zero trust, and if you're in zero trust, you do that. You're in EDR, XDR, you want that. If you're in AI, what kind of AI you're doing? Use those keywords and show your ads. Get people to see your product, and more likely maybe to retweet it and tweet ads and things like that. You'd be surprised because a good ad is good content. And so if you can do good targeting and it's a good ad, people should share engage with it. I haven't. If you're doing proper marketing, you should be replying to the engagement on your ads. Okay, but the other thing that we can do is now let's talk about competitive targeting, because I can use our competitors, right? And next to their words, people using their words, we can show our ad. So if someone's talking about your competitor's product, whether positively or negatively, you can show your ad next to it.
Yeah.
So been like, try an alternative in XYZ, right? Right. Enough about that. You know, there's more than whatever. And you can kind of go in and piggyback off of it, knowing, right, having that ad group specifically next to those keywords, knowing that it's there and targeting above and below it. This is a very powerful way if you're a startup. So many of our clients, they go up against AWS, Microsoft, etc. Guys, we have such great advantages because we're fast, we're nimble, we understand this unique targeting. Their marketing teams in-house at these insanely large corporations or just enterprises in general, even companies with 500 plus employees, they don't have the capacity, the knowledge, they're not as nimble, they're not on the front lines like we're able to do for you. So you can really do a lot. You can really, really punch upward much greater than they can because they're just fat and slow, so to speak, right? They become complacent in the market.
I love that. I love the punch up position. I think this is a great opportunity for startups, and I would say you'll probably use that strategy for companies that are competing with your particular market, but you will also use that with companies that are competing with you on share of wallet. They're probably not a direct competitor, but they're also engaging with your industry. So basically, you can target these companies. You can target their hashtags, their keywords, their product name, and basically come up with the right audience that actually engage with these companies and these particular keywords.
So and they don't even have to be your competitor in business. They just happen to be. So I tell them about SEO. Sometimes your MSPs, your resellers, distributors, you're competing with them for the same keywords. They can even be reselling your product. So you need to be strategic about how you go about it and how you can actually leverage showing up next to them in the search engine results page or showing up next to them, let's say, in an organic feed such as Twitter. Okay, let's talk about, so we discussed so far that we will be able to, the things where the targeting B2B, you can target companies, job titles, functions. These are things that are coming. We are currently testing this, Wadi Digital. We're testing, let's talk about ABM, account-based marketing. So, hey, I would really love to target people at these I made a list of these 2,000 companies that are, let's say, using this software, and that would be perfect for them now to use our SaaS product. A very standard example for Wadi Digital's clients, a very stereotypical basic example. How would we be able to go about if we're able to make a list of accounts or companies or things like that? We can go ahead and do that targeting. Do you want to talk about? You want to tee that up?
Yeah. So basically, using tailored audiences, you're now able to target particular companies, or you're able to target particular people based on roles and job titles. And yeah, we see Thomas right here in the comments. I think that. I think that the opportunity with ABM to do smart campaigns that are directed at your core audience of clients should be an integral part of your strategy on Twitter. So,
and by the way, I just want to be clear. Everything Elon's saying and we're saying here is just about marketing. Twitter happens to be the venue, the tool, the platform. You should be doing ABM on LinkedIn or through 6 Sense or Metadata or Terminus and other platforms too. And to not do Twitter also, it just makes zero sense to me. So it's not just you should do it on Twitter. You should do ABM everywhere your audience is, because you're a real marketer, and especially in B2B, you understand that the funnel is exactly the funnel. It's more of a cake. People go in different layers and go in different platforms, consume different things. And it's very important to be omnipresent, because we need many touch points and different touch points in order to convert people, because different people will convert on different platforms and to different kind of messaging and different kind of ads. And so it's important that we give them the diversity, not just of ad content to our target list, but the diversity of platforms where and how they will consume our content. So it's not just Twitter per se as a marketer, it's a must.
The main concept here, and I think you said before, is more opportunities. You need to have more opportunities to engage with your target audience. And basically, LinkedIn is a fantastic place to find your audience, but people go to LinkedIn every once in a while where they want to snoop on their industry, or they want to find the next job, or they want to do some reconnaissance on their competitors. But people come to Twitter to talk about their industry, but they're also huge NBA fans, so they come to see the latest scores. They want to see what's going on around them. So you have more opportunities to engage with your target audience on Twitter, and you can do that for different types of content. You can do that with video. You can do it with polls. You can do it with carousels that are much more creative, and basically you have more control, more opportunities to do the same strategy and to basically execute it effectively on Twitter. The only thing that you need to do is basically be strategic about it, use the right tools to create your targeting, and then make sure that your content is entertaining, engaging, and relevant to your audience. Otherwise, what are you doing as a marketer?
Wait, hold on. I love this question. I just tweeted this 2 days ago. Janice Temple about cannabis.
I mean, yeah.
Did you see my tweet about from Chong, Cheech and Chong? Okay, so you can go to my Twitter, Janice, and I don't know, scroll down the last 2 days, and I took a screenshot of a marijuana ad. Don't ask why they're targeting me. They have a new flower, but they didn't use. It was very implied. They used the word flower. They didn't use the word cannabis or marijuana or weed. So there is a way to do it. I know Chong is doing it. You can go to you'll see a screenshot in my feed, because an advertiser. I've also found it to be fascinating what you are allowed, not allowed to do. So Google is notorious for blocking a lot of different content from Google Ads, as an example. So we've had, when I worked with Teva, it was the same thing. We did a lot of LinkedIn, right? We couldn't even do Google. We had another client that they do safe delivery of certain drugs at like very low temperatures, and because the drug is mentioned on their website, and I was like, "Can we take this down?" They're like, "No, we can't take the website down," even though it wasn't like so prominent. But like, we can, especially for SEO. We weren't doing their SEO because we definitely been against that. So we couldn't be able to do Google Ads for them. That includes display, that includes remarket, includes YouTube, etc. And there's a lot of other things where Google and Facebook are strict, and I find that Twitter and LinkedIn are less so. So what other than, are there any industries that you cannot advertise on Twitter, right? So let's say drugs, alcohol, gambling. I don't know. Go on.
So basically, for each one of these verticals, we have our own policy and different guidelines based on the country that you want to target. So let's say with cannabis and CBD, there's been a relaxation with the Twitter policy. So now, if you are a managed advertiser on Twitter, you can basically advertise your cannabis and CBD business on Twitter in particular countries where this is allowed. So I think in the US, and in Canada, you can do it, and our policies keep on evolving. If you want to advertise alcohol, obviously you can do that, but then you'll have to limit the age of the people that are being exposed to your ads according to the local law. And basically,
wait, hold on 1 minute. The advertiser has to do that. You don't automatically know and pick up. It has the word alcohol, so in America, will only serve to people 21 plus, etc. Or did you say the advertiser is responsible for the age targeting?
Basically, this is already a part of the system. If you do a Twitter takeover in a particular country, the system will automatically will know that you're an alcohol advertiser, and this will limit your
Got it.
your
So I don't have to. So
ownership.
if I'm targeting, sorry to interrupt you, I just want the clarity.
Yeah.
If I'm targeting America and Canada, right? America, you can't drink till you're 21. Canada, you can drink till you're 18. They're in the same campaign, same messaging. It makes total sense. Same time zones. It will only show, I don't have to do age targeting. It will by default serve my ads 18 plus in Canada and 21 plus in America. Is that correct?
You'll basically, it is advised to separate these campaigns by country, and then the age limitation should be applied.
Right. So the canvas is also obviously be related to the country where it is legal. But I wonder if it has to do with the states and all that, but I'm not going to, now is not the time to that. Yeah. Okay. So let's recap our advertising unless there's anything else we can discuss on it. If not, then I would like to finish. Everyone has any more questions, drop them. I want to talk about, after advertising, we'll review if there are any more questions. We definitely want to talk about Twitter Spaces, product roadmap, x.com, not a porn site. Where how Twitter is actually going to be more than a social media platform, and there's and subscriptions and other ways that you can maybe monetize and gated content. These are all different things. So from advertising, we discussed you can exclude any keyword, any handle. You don't need your ad to show to whomever you want. You can exclude, and you can also exclude your keyword so it doesn't show up on the same screen. That's good. And then you can target your competitors by literally making them a keyword target, including your competitor target product name. Oh, I want to talk about events. And then we can do ABM, as we started talking about with Thomas and Elon. Thomas is a friend of mine from the chat. If you want to do ABM, any B2B targeting by companies, targeting by industries or anything, email me. We'll set that up. If you want a free gold check, save $1,000 a month because you're going to advertise and you'll get some of the perks of the gold check of the features for free, email me and we'll get that scheduled also. Let's talk about event advertising. And then we can move on to spaces and the other fun stuff and product roadmap.
So okay, so event targeting. I think that events are integral part of any tech related marketing strategy, and obviously it's a little bit hard to find out the right events where you want to actually target. But I think that any industry, any marketer, they have their own calendar of the key events where they want to target. So right now you can go to events targeting on Twitter, and if you don't find your event, you can email us and ask the event to be added. Basically, this will make sure that you're targeting people that engage with that particular handle of the events or the particular hashtag of the event, and this will allow you to basically target that audience on Twitter. The best strategy to do so is you'll start probably 3 to 4 weeks before the event with the right messaging. For most of the companies, it will be meet us at the event, and then you'll have your booth number or the right person,
or also link to your landing page so they can schedule a meeting and book it directly with one of your people there. Because one of the main things that we're seeing, the highest ROI on a meeting scheduled is an in-person one. You really get to know the person. You're almost very likely, if they're qualified, you're going to be able to continue the conversation, book another meeting virtually. Let me continue to show the demo after the thing. Let's schedule something for next week. And they literally pull up the calendars together as someone who loves going to events. But you can find those hashtags, right? Or with the event targeting, we'll do people that are following the event handle, people using the hashtag, using certain keywords, and especially it ramps up towards closer to the date. And so then what you can do, because events use hashtags, and so it's very easy, by the way, for engagement tip, just liking and engaging people using the hashtag, kind of like you organize by followers, people at an event, and just start replying to them and say, hey, that's great. A nice booth. I'd love to come by and meet you. And just because there's a unique feeling on Twitter now that like we're on Twitter and most people aren't. And so it's like the in club, and it's eventually when more people, as Twitter rapidly grows, you don't feel like the in club. I'll give an example. I know people relate to this. So like in high school when I was into punk rock, and it was like, you knew this like little small band, and they start to get bigger and bigger. And you're like, I knew them and no one knew them. I went to go hear them in garages locally. And you're like, screw you, man. I was like an early listener. And you know what I mean? And there was like, it was a fun thing that like very few people, and you would share their CDs kind of like that. A lot also in the rap scene too, when people we would share CDs that we would burn, that would be burned, that would be handed out the subway in Philly. So there's that in feeling that you're able to get. So you want to get engagement on Twitter, you have like a kind of a first mover advantage now that you can get. So you can engage with people that are at an event, and they're more likely to meet up and schedule a call and see with you, because there is something special. There is an in and an out of those. Oh yeah, we're active on Twitter, when over 85%, 80% of people aren't active on Twitter at all. Anything else on events? Yeah, you were saying?
So there are two unique ideas that I saw when it comes to event promotion. So as part of your strategy for the event, you can basically advertise the company, but you can also target the people from your company that are speaking on the events. So this is a part of the influencer strategy. You can basically get an approval from a particular handle, and then you will promote that handle, a personal handle, for your company account. So this is a great opportunity to promote your CEO or your CTO if they're speaking at a particular events. And then one cool thing that I saw different companies do before the event, they do Twitter Spaces of like a nice.
What's that, Elon?
So they do Twitter Spaces of like a pre-chat before the actual event. So it's less button up. People are more open. People are joining on their free time. They can tap into that into that conversation later on, and it would just give them like a glimpse into the main topic. So you can do that before you actually go on stage, or you can do it as a follow-up after you talked at the event, and then people can engage with you, and basically you can get more deeper messaging, whereas in the event you're more button up, and you have your own little speech. But then on Twitter Spaces, you can be more open, you can be more frank about what you want, and then you can bring people into Twitter Spaces, and then allow them to engage with you, bring up their own ideas, and this will be on Twitter, and then you can use that material later on.
Yeah, we're seeing some comments and love for the Spaces. So are you familiar with the app that I think now went defunct called Anchor?
Yeah.
Okay, so a lot of people like Gary Vee were like talking it up, audio is the future, and audio is. But so I try to listen and use this app, or like Clubhouse or whatever, and I think they're Israeli. And you would listen to them and been like, they're slow. It's live, so I can't like play it up at like 1.5 speed or whatever. And they bring people on, and I'm like, this is so painful. I can watch so many things on demand that was live, played at faster space, and I can look at the reviews and all of that literally finished an hour, 2 hours ago. So it's just as relevant, let's say, listening to it live, right? So the advantage for Spaces, if I wanted to use it, it is an audio in a sense, like if I wanted to create a space, what is the best way for me to create it? Like, as an example, let's say we wanted to have this conversation on Twitter Spaces. Could we do that?
Yeah. Yeah. So basically, we would.
I have follow-up questions. That was the layup. But yeah.
But basically, we can go, both of us, on Twitter Spaces, start our own space.
How does one go on Twitter Spaces? Is this a separate app?
No, it's.
I know. I'm just trying to. People don't know, so I'm trying to feed you to.
It's right. It's right on the Twitter app. It's on the central navigation. You can go to Twitter Spaces. You start your own space. Then you invite the speakers. You give them. You basically allow them to participate in the space, and then people listen. They comment. They see who is speaking. You can highlight a particular tweet that you're talking about, and then you will just go on and on. I can give a huge shout out to an Israeli tech podcast called Weekly Sync. They're basically recording their podcast live on Twitter Spaces, and then later on publishing that podcast into Spotify and wherever podcasts are being served. And this is just a great opportunity for them to record in public and then bring up people from their audience to give their own take about that particular topic that they discussed. And it just gives them, more opportunities to engage with their target audience, and then later on bring something that is more rich and profound and a little bit unscripted, which is, in my opinion, much more interesting than
right, unscripted, and that's one of the why people like Twitter, and that's probably why one of the most influential. Here we got literally someone quoting Elon from a tweet, is that the most influential people are. So a lot of buyer decisions, a lot of people that like to think on their free time, a lot of the big thinkers are, and that's also, I do think, why it is relevant for B2B advertising if you're targeting people that are at enterprises, decision makers. A lot, I find that to be too. Can two people, how do two people co-host Twitter Space?
So you start your own Twitter Space, you invite someone in, you give them like a host permission, and then you have two hosts in the same space.
Awesome. You could also probably search that on Twitter or on Google or somewhere else.
And then keep in mind that this will pop up on both of their feeds and networks. So
yeah, Rachel says to Janice, only one person gets at the space, and then as soon as the other host starts the space, they can invite the co-host. Okay, yeah. Which is like most things that go live, almost like kind of like we did here. Rachel, maybe we'll do a space and we can show people, do it in person since you live a few kilometers away. Okay, product roadmap, and then what the hell is X.com, and Twitter's not going to be what you think Twitter is. Not too long from now. Let's talk. What are the things coming down on the product roadmap, both from the platform and from an advertising perspective? I'll let you take that away.
So, as I mentioned before, one of our key focuses is on performance and ad relevancy. So expect to see more on that in the upcoming period. More options to target, more options to do creative.
Like what? Get specific, because I'm planning now, and if we ever come out of this recession, inflation, we're starting to think where can we get the biggest bang for our buck? And I'm saying a lot of platforms that don't have as much scalability as LinkedIn and Google will give you better ROI. It's more time because it's an extra platform. So they want to know what is coming down so they can start to prepare, especially if, let's say, like, even as an example, Cybercom may have like, hey, RSA is like 10 months away next year, or Cybertech Israel is next January. They want to start preparing and marketing for it as they request the marketing budget for it, not just maybe a booth and not just ads or whatever, but they want to understand how they can prepare for these events. So instead of saying things are coming down, maybe we can get specific so we can start to think for our clients, and so I can share with our network and our following what they need to know.
So I don't think I can share a lot of the internal things that are happening right now, but there's one thing that I can say, that expect some really cool things coming into video on Twitter, and
such
as especially around organic video feed, which is now not a big part of Twitter, but apparently a lot of people are engaging on Twitter video feed. So expect to see more on that, more upgrades and more opportunities to engage with people on the video feed.
I'll talk about this from the business strategic perspective, why this is happening. So Google is very well known. Well, for those that know, very well known that they pay those that they advertise and their creators. They give them a very big chunk. So on YouTube, as an example, which is obviously Google entity, they give creators 55% of ad revenue that are brought on from their channel. Elon Musk explicitly tweeted that his intention is to provide more than that. Basically, he's looking to compete directly with YouTube. YouTube is all of the main content creators. Think any podcast. Think it could also be your favorite regular TV news channel. They cut up clips and they put it on. By the way, I don't recommend watching TV news. That's another conversation. And there's all kinds of ways with that. Just looking for, and now we have subscriptions where basically kind of like Patreon, or our client Memberful, or locals.com these are really, really high-end ways for you to be able to reach your audience in a subscription way to give them unique features. And now you're able to have someone pay you, and you can go to like subscribe to the certain person. It's like a little pink face with a star next to it. And then you can see unique content they only put like behind quote unquote the paywall, right? So what you're going to start to see is more creation of content. Content creators are going to be more attracted. Wherever the content creator goes, people are going to follow them. There's a reason why Joe Rogan's making a boatload of money by being exclusive on Spotify. Don't be surprised if they can be, when that expires, be like, hey, Rogan, come to Twitter. You get exclusive on Twitter, for this and that. And obviously they'll be able to bring in a whole audience that would watch him that never log on to Twitter would go on just to watch his long form 3-hour video podcast. So you're going to see a lot more video creation there. Why? Because you're going to be incentivized. You can actually make money. You'll make more money putting your video on there than YouTube. Of course, YouTube will have that reach to share the link and all of that. It's still a video first platform. Maybe for now, we'll see where things go. But to be able to monetize, Twitter is definitely a place you're going to want to go. And it's also going to be the place where you can be able to build an audience and you can charge what you want and make a unique exclusive subscriber content that isn't available on YouTube. But I think it is on Rumble. I think because Rumble owns local. So there are some really cool things going on there. But then within that, they're doing the subscription means you can pay. And what's going to happen is, so sometimes I follow a lot of economics accounts. I have some strange obsession with economics. And so when I click on a lot of Wall Street Journals things, and it's like, for $9 a month, $7 a month. And I'm like, I want to read like 3 articles, like maybe a month, right? I'm not going to pay $7 a month. It's not worth my time to put in a credit card. But what's going to happen, you'll have like a Twitter wallet because they're now integrating payments into it. And that's where X.com comes in, which is the new parent company of Twitter, is that you can now be able, you can integrate your payment. You can now just say, okay, I want to read this thing for Wall Street Journal. And they'll say, okay, it's 5 cents. And let's say Twitter will take a penny and Wall Street Journal will take 4. So now more people are going to read their content and they're going to get far more revenue, because how many of us want to read, a certain piece of content, but you have to pay for the monthly subscription. And you're like, I don't care for the monthly subscription. There's just one thing a quarter I want to read from it. So maybe for just an extra $5 a month, I can add up a bunch of different articles that, 10, 20, 5, 10, 20 cents that I'll be able to read throughout the internet. And so it's actually going to become a way where more information will be able to share it and you'll be able to support it financially. So you can expect better quality content also, which is a win-win. So expect, if you want to put anything behind a paywall, whether it's a video, special stuff, or you're already putting a paywall on your website for your certain content, if you're in media in particular, this is a terrific opportunity. Twitter is obviously the place for you. But Twitter is moving also to be something kind of like the everything app, and more of a payment app. And of course, Elon Musk was one of the co-founders of PayPal. So he understands payments very well, probably more than really anyone else, but payment processing and the psychology behind payments. Maybe you want to tell us what is X.com, or where Twitter is going, in addition to what I said when it comes to supporting content creators, or maybe subscription fees, to read like the Wall Street Journal, and things like that. Where else are things going, let's say, from payments? Would I be able to, let's say we were to go live on Twitter, there's a little better integration like this, and people want to ask, like YouTube has super chats and they want to, hey, tip us 5 shekels, and their question could come to the top, and we'll make sure to only address those that are tipping or things like that. Do we think there's so many different ways that there's ways for content creators and people creating value to be able to monetize? What direction is this going? What direction is X.com? Will it be able to basically compete with any other payment processing? Will it become like my new will it be able to replace my PayPal if I want to pay my friends, and maybe even ideally my bank, because their customer service sucks?
So as you mentioned, Twitter is becoming a more friendly place for creators and people that actually create valuable content. And we are, as a company, definitely exploring that front. And obviously, you see more and more features are going live to support content creators. And I think that this is a huge and essential part of our growth. In terms of other uses for Twitter under the X umbrella. I think that these are things that are currently in process that I don't think it would be fair for me to elaborate on, especially as there are a lot of parts that are in progress as we.
Come on, give us something, a hint, and I'll guess, and you can tell me I'm wrong.
No, I think that you are seeing more and more people are looking for other platforms to speak up their mind, but also use them in the day-to-day. So I think that going in that direction, whether it's on the wallet part or as part of your consumption of media, ideas, and news, this will be an integral part for Twitter as we move forward. So that definitely a better place to share these ideas, and better place to consume and connect to the things that really matters to you. So again, this will be and again, I don't know if it would be under the umbrella of the Twitter brand, but it would definitely be connected to your Twitter network.
Awesome, great. Elon, before we sign off, anything else that you think we didn't cover, we should share, or anything else they should know before we wrap this baby up?
I think that in terms of what we can do for clients and for advertisers, we touched maybe the tip of the iceberg, and
that's exactly true, by the way. We did not go deep.
Yeah, I think that for each vertical, whether it's cybersecurity or tech or anything that is, Janice talk about cannabis and CBD.
She's still talking about it.
For each vertical, we have our own solution. So talk with us, show us your briefs, as we like to say, and then we will come up with the right solution and the right strategy to do that on Twitter.
Awesome. Elon, thank you. You guys can follow Elon at Elon Usim, and you can follow me on Twitter at YOLT Israel, or here are both of us on LinkedIn. If anyone has any other Twitter question, Twitter marketing, Twitter post, Twitter engagement, Twitter ads, you feel free to message me. If you're looking for, if you want help with the Blue Verify, Twitter Spaces, or you want to get a free gold check for you and your organization, save $1,000 a month. If you advertise through Wadi, you can do that. For those in Israel, happy Lag BaOmer. And Elon, thank you so much for joining us. And we'll definitely be doing this again, God willing, one day in person in Tel Aviv.
Definitely. Thank you, Yoel, for the opportunity. Thank you so much.
And thank you, everyone, for listening.